Hey, welcome to EPN. My name is Victor Lucas, and we bring you the latest in everything cool every single day. Even if I have a frog in my throat and I've got a little bit of a sniffle, it's all good. This one's going out to Agent Washington, who said yesterday on our rundown, hey, this is a good video. I'm a better person for having watched it. Well, thank you so much, sir. This rundown is all yours. After years of financial turmoil, it looks like things are finally starting to turn around for Nintendo. The company has announced new sales figures for their latest platform, the Switch. Nintendo claims that the console portable hybrid sold 2.74 million units worldwide in its first month, following their announcement of 906,000 first-month sales in North America. Nintendo has previously estimated that they would sell just 2 million units in the first month, so it's selling better than they expected. Underestimating that demand is probably the reason why the Switch is still very hard to find in stores, which we don't need to tell you if you've tried to buy one recently. Going forward, Nintendo's expecting to sell 10 million Switch units in the next year alone, which would make it one of the fastest selling consoles in history and top the lifetime sales of their last system, the Wii U. As for software, the new Zelda game, Breath of the Wild, has sold 2.76 million copies on the Switch, meaning it's sold more copies than the Switch itself, likely to people who bought 2 copies or bought the game planning to get the system down the road. Nintendo hasn't released sales figures for their other big launch title, 1-2 Switch, probably because it totally sucks and buyers are wisely avoiding it. The portable capabilities of the Switch haven't made Nintendo's other handheld platform, the 3DS, obsolete, at least not yet. The dual-screen handheld is continuing to do well, selling 7.27 million units over the last 12 months, with consumers still interested in it even after the Switch was unveiled in October. As for Nintendo's new foray into mobile gaming, it's hard to say which of their 2 big mobile titles, Super Mario Run and Fire Emblem Heroes, is more successful. Super Mario Run has been downloaded 150 million times, while Fire Emblem Heroes has been downloaded less than 1/10 as many times. However, the Wall Street Journal reports that Fire Emblem is actually making more money than Mario due to the fact that it has in-game microtransactions, while Mario charges users a less mobile-friendly flat fee at the start. This means that Nintendo will likely use microtransactions for all their mobile games going forward, which might disappoint some purists. Finally, we've got one last bit of Nintendo news to talk about. The company has announced that 68-year-old software and hardware designer Genyo Takeda has retired after 45 years at the company. He's widely credited as the first game designer to work at Nintendo, designing some of their earliest arcade games in the 1970s, back when Nintendo was known primarily as a toy and trading card company. Takeda oversaw the development of all of Nintendo's home consoles, and his biggest contribution to gaming was probably designing the analog thumbstick on the N64 controller, making it the first major console to have one. All of us at EP wish you a very happy retirement, Takeda-san. Split and Unbreakable director M. Night Shyamalan is creating his own shared superhero universe. The director has announced that he's making a sequel to his dark superhero movie Unbreakable, and not only will it be a follow-up to that film, it will also be a sequel to his most recent movie, Split. We'll issue a spoiler warning here for those of you who haven't seen Split. The film, which tells the story of a killer with split personalities, has a surprise Shyamalan-style twist ending where you learn that it actually takes place in the same universe as Unbreakable, making it a sort of supervillain origin story. The next film will be titled Glass, and it will presumably see Unbreakable hero David Dunn, played by Bruce Willis, take on Split's James McAvoy, with Unbreakable villain Samuel L. Jackson back as well. Shyamalan has been talking about making a sequel to Unbreakable ever since the original film came out in the year 2000, and superhero movies are even more popular now than they were back then. It's also worth pointing out that Split has seen a return to form for Shyamalan, recapturing the critical and commercial success of his earlier films following a string of high-profile blunders like After Earth and The Happening. Hopefully he'll be able to maintain his momentum.
You're not gonna like it?
The sequel to Unbreakable and Split will shatter theaters in early 2019. It looks like one of Hollywood's best directors has come in to save the troubled sequel to World War Z. Variety reports that the long-in-development sequel to the 2013 zombie epic is back in development at Paramount Pictures, with Gone Girl and Fight Club director David Fincher set to helm. Rumors first surfaced last year that Fincher was being courted for the project, and Variety claims that he's finally decided to sign on. Fincher reportedly agreed to make the zombie film after being asked by producer and star Brad Pitt, who he's worked with several times. There's been a lot of back and forth about whether or not a sequel to World War Z would happen at all. The first film had a notoriously troubled production process, going through some big reshoots and re-edits, but despite the problems, it turned out to be a surprise box office success. Paramount and Pitt started working on a sequel shortly after, but the long search for a director forced Paramount to remove the film from the release schedule earlier this year. Now that Fincher is going to helm, production is expected to finally begin early next year, which would put the film in theaters sometime in 2019. Fincher has directed some big projects, but never anything as big as a global epic like World War Z. It should be interesting to see how his unique visual style works in a zombie movie. The driving force behind Rogue One might have another Star Wars anthology tale on the way. John Knoll, who runs Lucasfilm's special effects studio Industrial Light and Magic and also came up with the original story idea for Rogue One, says that he's got an idea for another Star Wars spin-off movie. Speaking with The Hollywood Reporter, Knoll says that he's currently tinkering with a new Star Wars story idea, and he's already pitched it to Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy. He hasn't revealed any details about what the story might entail, and there's no word on whether or not Kennedy and the studio will want to make it. They currently haven't officially announced any Star Wars movies for release in 2020, but that doesn't mean that they aren't working on one. Knoll says that there's no reason to think Disney is going to want to stop making Star Wars movies given the popularity of the franchise, not to mention the fact that the universe has unlimited potential. We'll let you know if Knoll's new film materializes. At the very least, we think it's pretty cool that Lucasfilm is the type of company where a special effects artist can pitch a story and get it made into a film like Rogue One, which doesn't happen everywhere. The next Star Wars adventure, Episode 8, The Last Jedi, hits theaters this December. Forza Horizon 3 is getting some new wheels, and they're pretty hot. Microsoft has unveiled a new batch of DLC for the latest game in the racing franchise. It's called Forza Horizon 3 Hot Wheels, and as you can probably guess, it will give players new tracks and vehicles based on the popular Hot Wheels toy line. That means new tracks with plenty of loops, boosts, jumps, and other things you might remember from playing with your Hot Wheels as a kid. Best of all, the DLC will introduce the new Stunt Swap feature, allowing players to modify the new tracks to make them even crazier than before. The Forza Horizon 3 Hot Wheels DLC will cross the finish line on May 9th. In other racing news, Codemasters has released the first gameplay footage from Dirt 4, the first game in their off-road racing series since 2015's Dirt Rally. It's got everything you'd expect from an off-road rally game, including 50 vehicles and new tracks spanning 5 different countries. The big new feature this time around is a track creation tool, the first in the series, allowing players to create, play, and share their own stages. Dirt 4 will get things messy on the PS4, Xbox One, and PC on June 6th. That's our rundown for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to go gargle with some salt water now. We'll see you tomorrow with the brand new rundown. And in the meantime, watch some of our other videos, will you?